So, so anyone who watches this channel knows I read a lot, and anybody who reads a lot can tell you that there's always more things to be read. um, there's like too much to read, honestly, more than we'll be able to read in our lifetime, and that's sad to me. But I do try to stay on top of it and do read as much as possible. So I decided to do a video just kind of on books I have yet to read that I plan to read next year. There's obviously going to be more on this list than I could even describe in this short span of this video, and I do try to keep my videos short. So this is a very condensed list. These are kind of like the ones that are a top priority right now, and then you have to keep in mind with this list, there's a lot more than I'm going to even be telling you. But here it is. This is my reading list for 2019. Narrowed down to the most essential of the essential reading for me. I got a little bit here, so I'm just gonna jump into it so I can keep this pretty short. So first off on this list, this is a classic. I've not read it. I've heard nothing but good things about it. It's been on my radar for several years now, but I've just never got around to it. And that's A Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. Won the Pulitzer. This is high quality writing. Everyone's praised this book. They've praised the characters in it. A lot of people in Hollywood have tried to make films over the years, for 20, 30 years, trying to make a film version of this. It's a literary classic. I'm very interested in it. I just have never got around to it. And that'll definitely be on my 2019 list. I've heard nothing good about this writer, Jack Finney. I've heard a lot of good things about him. He's kind of regarded as a master of fantasy fiction, and he's also written. He wrote Invasion of the Body Snatchers, which is considered a sci-fi horror classic. So I mean, this is more of a literary guy, but he's also a genre guy. But I've heard nothing good about him. Stephen King has praised him highly, especially in his nonfiction book Danse Macabre. Definitely want to check this guy out because he seems like he would be a kind of writer I would really be into, especially since even though what I mostly talk about on this show, for lack of a better term, vlog series, it's more kind of literary fiction or more kind of realistic stuff, but I actually do read a lot of genre stuff as well, and I actually kind of want to get more into genre fiction because I feel like it's something I've kind of put off reading as much in recent months. Which brings me to my next writer. This is another writer. He's a classic. He's written a lot of genre fiction. He's prolific. He's been around for a long time. And I've never read anything by him. But I definitely want to get around to reading some Peter Straub. This is Shadowland. I also, if you recall, several months ago, I did an unpackaging video where I bought a copy of his novel Ghost Story, which I've still yet to read. It's also been sitting by the wayside. I have very little experience with Straub. The only things I've read by him were a single short story and a novel he co-wrote with Stephen King called The Talisman. Those are the only things I've read by Straub, and that seems a shame. He seems like he's a very good writer. From what I hear, he writes horror fiction very well. He writes suspense very well. And judging from the quality of writing with The Talisman, and also the short story I read, he's very good. He's just a writer that, for one reason or another, I just never got around to. And I want to rectify that. So I'm definitely planning on reading Ghost Story and Shadowland by the end of next year. And maybe I'll even do a reading list for 2022 when that comes. Also, this is a book I also talked about, and I've even shown in an unpackaged video, is Coin Locker Babies by Ryu Murakami, the other Murakami of Japan. Again, been on my radar for a long time. I've known about Ryu Murakami. I've known about Coin Locker Babies. It's regarded as a literary classic. It's an important novel in Japanese literature. But just one I just never got around to. Everyone who knows this channel or knows me personally knows I'm a huge fan of Haruki Murakami, and I've read all of his writing several times. He's my favorite writer. And I wanted to give his contemporary a shot and see, how good he is. And I'm sure he is. I mean, everyone's lauded Coin Locker Babies. It's considered a Japanese classic, and it's very important cultural icon in Japan. My favorite rock band of all time, The Pillows, was originally named the Coin Locker Babies. Or at least one of their members was in a band called Coin Locker Babies before they were The Pillows. But yeah, they've had a lot of influence. I think there's even been like a Japanese film made of it, but definitely need to get around to that. Because that was months ago when I unpackaged this in my video, and I still need to read it. I need to quit putting the shit off. Also, speaking of literary classics, getting into V by Thomas Pynchon. I've read very, very, very little Pynchon, and that's a shame because he's very interesting. I love what I have read by him, and he's an important American writer that, I have no excuse for not reading. I just am lazy. So, I have read Gravity's Rainbow, and I have read Inherent Vice, and I've also read a collection of short stories called Slow Learner, and those were all great. I'd love to learn. I'd love to read V. I wanted to start from the beginning because this is his first novel. I want to start from the beginning and just kind of work my way up through, like Crying of Lot 49, Against the Day, Mason Dixon, all that kind of stuff. So, again, no excuse for that. He's amazing. Plus, I love postmodern fiction, so he's definitely like one of the fathers of it. Speaking of genre fiction, I need to read Stranger in a Strange Land because Heinlein's fantastic, and I've read a criminal amount of Heinlein. I've read very, very little, and